now. So me personally, I am pro-choice and I'm pro-life. So this is like weird, right? But it's not. I'm pro-choice because I feel as individuals, we must have the right to choose what we want for ourselves. We have to have that right, and we cannot have people controlling that choice. And I'm leaving religion out of this, okay? This is purely just on a secular level. Of course, if I go on a religious level, it will be totally different talk. I'm just talking secular. We must have the right to choose how we want to live our lives, how we want to conduct ourselves in this world. I'm totally for that. But I'm also pro-life because for me, because I have this, because I'm pro-choice, I choose to be pro-life. I choose not to support euthanasia, not to support suicide, not to support abortion, not to support the death penalty, self-defense in defense of another. I can understand it. I don't think it's right though. I mean, I still feel you have to make amends if you have taken a life. But I can understand. If your back is up against the wall, you have to do whatever you have to do to survive. Okay? But so that's just my personal opinion. That's all. I'm pro-choice and pro-life. Okay? Right. But before, when I was young, because now I'm 55. I'm married, I have a child, I teach all the time. I'm with young people all the time. I'm a parent. And I'm married, so it changes perspective. And I have different kind of friends. Okay? So my mindset before, I was very, what is the word? I used to like to make judgments about who must live and who must die. Like, oh, that person doesn't deserve to live. That person should die. That person should be killed at dawn. That person should just go to the window and jump out of the window and kill themselves. That person should be shot. I was not as creative as a lot of people are, when it comes to rape cases, about how they feel, the many things you can do with a penis and all this. I was never to that level because I wasn't raised like that, to be so malevolent. I used to go to church every Sunday, so my degree of malevolence is not that dark. Okay, but still, I would still look and think, yeah, that person deserves to die. That person deserves to be shot at dawn, blah, 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 blah. And I used to even look at children who are physically disabled or handicapped, and I used to think, yeah, that child shouldn't have been born. They should just have aborted it because look how it's suffering and blah, 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 blah. And I even used to say to myself, if I had to be pregnant and there was a way, or now there is a way, but back in the day, they did the genome was not decoded yet. I used to even say hereditary diseases, like diabetes and especially cancer. If I would never marry a man that has cancer in his family. I don't have cancer in my family. My brother just had cancer recently, but that's cancer of the colon. So that's a, what do they call it? It's a lifestyle cancer. We have no cancer in my family. My family, we die of tragedies and we get killed. We don't get sick and die. Okay. But anyway, I was so bad that I wouldn't even marry someone that had cancer because I wouldn't want to have a child because that's a gene. It's a hereditary gene. And I was even at one point saying, what they should do is they should scan while you are pregnant. And if your child has there's a chance that child will get cancer, you should abort it. I was all about the perfect, like having a perfect child. Humans must be perfect. So if we can stop all of this before birth, any defect you have, if they can scan it before the child is born, and then they just abort it. So the perfect people are born, normal people. This was my mindset, and I was quite okay with it. And a lot of people, they have this mindset. That's why now we have IVF. A lot of women prefer to get pregnant by donated sperm because you can specify what characters you want and what kind of looks, and we're going on that track already. Okay, where everything is artificial. You can, like it's a designer baby, you can design the baby. That was my mindset. So this was when I was like in my 20s, before I had my child, before I had Alex. No, even still after that. Of course, when he was born also, I was like, if he wasn't going to be perfect, because I went for many x-rays, if he wasn't going to be perfect, I was going to be like, phew, take out, I don't want. But everything was fine. Touch wood. Okay, right. So what changed my mind? Well, you know, I got older, and then I like reading. I love reading. And you know, I started reading all the, because that time it was 1994, 1990, I was reading all the Mandela books and all the stuff. And then because in Asia, I started reading Buddhism and all this kind of stuff. So it's very interesting, because in South Africa, I don't know, I feel I was a bit close-minded, because we were so isolated from the rest of the world that time. Anyway, that's another story. Then and because a lot of books were banned in South Africa, but in Malaysia, I managed to get hold of the book Mein Kampf, Hitler's Mein Kampf. And I read that book, and I was in shock. Because everything that I believed about the perfect human, that's exactly his philosophy. Right? That is what he was trying to do, create the perfect race. And I was thinking, that's exactly what I was saying. I was saying the same thing. Only the perfect person should survive. Anything that's not perfect must be killed off at birth, even before birth. So that they don't have to suffer. And so that they're not a burden on the rest of society. So I was in shock. And what actually really brought the shock on it, because a lot of things he was saying, I actually agreed with it. Because I was of that same mindset. You see, that's why it's good to read. You learn a lot about yourself when you read. And I was shocked. I was shocked that I was actually, like some of my mind, not all, some of my mindset was Nazism. Although mine was not to a specific race, it was just to a specific type of human, the imperfect human. Because like I was thinking, I'm so perfect, you know. Stupidity, you see, the arrogance. And then I was in shock. Anyway, then I was watching, few years after, then I started like really like soul searching. And then a few years later, I was watching a death penalty video about this guy who's 13 years old, and he was, because I work a lot, I'm a death penalty opponent, and I was reading about this guy who was he was sentenced to death at 13 years of age. He's still on death row in the US. And then the guy was asking, what did you do? It's because he killed someone. Anyway, at age 13, okay? So, because I was busy studying the laws, trying to work out the frontal lobe development, a long story. But anyway, it's about the frontal lobe development, how you can use it as a mitigating circumstance in court cases. And then this guy, as he was talking, I could see the back in his cell, and I saw the book. I saw the word eugenics, and I thought, what is that? And then I Googled, and I got some books on eugenics, and I was like, I am actually an advocate of eugenics. Because I'm okay with killing off people who are burdens, who I assume would be a burden to society, or who I assume is a burden. And I was in shock, because now I'm a Nazi, and eugenics, Nazism is, the genocide part of Nazism is basically eugenics. And I was in shock. And then I also found out that's what they're doing in South Africa with the black people. That's why the death penalty, they were just hanging people left, right, and center, because they were trying to get rid of people. And then there's the same thing they were doing with the gays in South Africa. They're doing all these experiments trying to change them from not being gay, because we didn't want gay people in our society. I was a bit shocked that, yeah, I am so Amandla Awetu, I'm against all this white supremacy and all that, but I support this one part of their project, which is creating the perfect race. And then I started looking at my what do you call it? My perception of abortion from another in a different light. And then when I read now all the reasons people give for why they support abortion, it boils down to all these things, like what is written in Mein Kampf and eugenics. It's the same thing. It's all about deciding who's a burden, deciding what is a burden, deciding who you want in your life, what kind of people you want in your life or around you or in your society, in your nation. That's what it is.